I don't know what my life purpose is, and I don't know if I will ever find a singular purpose. But here's what I did instead. Find your purpose, follow your passion, have a vision. At first glance, all of these things sound so similar, but most of all, abstract and distant, and seems to have nothing to do with reality. Real life is about the now, paying the bills, meeting deadlines, trying to get a raise, trying to find some form of work-life balance. Who has time to really think about things like your purpose? It may sound like a lofty and luxurious thing to be thinking about your purpose, especially at times when your bank account is nearing zero or you're simply juggling many other more urgent things in your life. And yet, there seems to be something important and meaningful about finding your purpose. For the first 5 years of my career, I have never thought about what my purpose was. It was hard for me to grasp as I was in the early stages of enjoying my corporate career. There were a lot of shiny, distracting objects that held my attention. The prospect of an upcoming raise and promotion. But towards the end of that career, at a point where I became disinterested, unmotivated, lost and totally annoyed at my job and experienced an extended phase of burnout that lasted a few months too long, I started to delve more into the question of what I really wanted out of life, what I really wanted to do for work and as a career. I started asking the question, what is my purpose? What should I aim at? What should I build my life around so that I don't end up feeling empty and full of regret when I'm 90? And it's not an easy question to answer, so I simply ignored it for a while. I got busy with other things. I did some acting, flipped a house, made some films, got married, moved to Canada, started a YouTube channel, and then this blog. And by the way, in case you haven't checked out my blog yet, you can find it here. I post about similar topics there, but often go into a bit more depth. If that interests you, I'd love to see you over there. And in case you do visit, I'd be so happy if you'd sign up to my newsletter. I'll then send new blog posts and also updates about my new book straight to your inbox. I did a lot of different things that I loved, but it wasn't easy to pinpoint what my purpose was. And since you're watching this video right now, you might also have been trying to find your purpose but just couldn't find it yet. The reason that people have such a hard time finding their purpose is that they are looking for this single purpose for life. The one guiding purpose, the sole reason for their existence and drive to do anything on this earth. We are inspired by famous people who seem to have a very clear and single purpose and think that something is wrong with us or lacking within us if we don't have such a life purpose as well. The reality is that some people, and it might be a very small percentage of people, know their life purpose, but they didn't create it or make it up. Instead, it came to them, oftentimes as a result of or a reaction to an experience, a profound insight, or even pain, suffering, and hardship. And as a response to this, they discovered that voice inside of them that said, I have to do something about this, or I need to fix this, or I just need to contribute towards this, or even I need to make this thing I imagined in my head. And because it's so meaningful and of such importance to them, it becomes this overarching goal. They find their life purpose. But as I said, this happens for some people. What happens to others? Oftentimes, people find their purpose at a much later age because when you're younger and don't have much experience yet, you're still in this absorbing, exploring, figuring out mode. You're still trying to decide what to make of everything, what really matters and what doesn't will only gradually reveal itself to you through events and experiences in your life. And as you get older, you accumulate a larger collection of experiences, go through more difficulties, get a better perspective of what matters and what doesn't. Many people will therefore gain more clarity about their purpose as they grow older. But this doesn't happen automatically either, and it is not always the case. Some people die without ever knowing their purpose or pursuing anything that is meaningful. And on the other hand, there are younger people who find their purpose early on. So if it's not really a matter of age, then what determines whether and when you can find your purpose? It will depend in part on the quantity, type, and intensity of your experiences. The more insightful, fascinating, and sometimes even painful your experiences are, the more likely you are to find your purpose. Sometimes it could just take one very memorable experience that leads you to your purpose. This also means that if you don't experience anything in life, if you never step outside of your comfort zone and explore new things, you might never find your purpose. If you want to find your purpose, you also need to keep looking for it. If you don't care about having a purpose, then you'll likely never find it. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. And even better, tell me in the comments if this was helpful or not. It would let me know if these kinds of videos are useful to you and would help me immensely to get this video out to more people. Here's a big mistake that people tend to make when trying to find their purpose. Most people go straight to the question, what is my life purpose? And then because they are not ready for that discovery yet, because they haven't experienced enough yet to get to that realization, they get stuck and just give up. It's like trying to find a pearl in the ocean when you've never even dipped your toe into the water. What about me? I don't know what my life purpose is, and I don't know if I will ever find a singular purpose. But here's what I did instead. I believe that people don't just have this one big purpose in life, but rather several smaller purposes or mini purposes. These are things that are important and meaningful to you in the foreseeable future. Let's say in the next 5 years or even just 3 years. This might not be a grand plan to save endangered species or to bring clean water to every single person in the world. Not that these things aren't meaningful, but as I said before, you can't just make it up. You can't just make up a grand, noble-sounding purpose. Instead, you have to work from the inside out. You have to ask yourself what the next most meaningful thing that you can do in your career is. Let's say you're a comedian and what you would like your purpose to be is to make people laugh. And it sounds profound but simple, but for some reason it just doesn't ring true to you. And if it doesn't, then no matter how good it sounds, you can't say that it's your purpose because it won't lead you anywhere and it won't sustain you. Let's say that what you can deeply connect with instead is to make a living being a regular stand-up comedian at a club. And you feel that that is something worth pursuing for the next 3 to 5 years, then yes, that could be your mini purpose. But then again, you might feel that it's more like a goal. Sure, you want to make a living and also want to be a regular, but even though you don't achieve this goal specifically, you would still want to continue doing stand-up. You need to keep fine-tuning it until you arrive at something that feels concrete and actionable, but also something that's organic and drives you and gives you enough meaning. So from there, you might fine-tune it to become making people laugh while making some money, if not a living from it. And I'm not saying that it can't be something ambitious, but what's key here is that you genuinely connect with that purpose, that it doesn't feel too abstract to you. And here you might ask, how is this different from a goal? Goals, purposes are part of the same hierarchy. You could say that a purpose is also a goal. It is something that you want to achieve in essence. The difference is that a purpose is an overarching goal, and it also answers the question of why you want to do something. So if your goal is, I want to be a regular at a comedy club, you need to ask yourself, why do I want to do this? And the answer could be, because I want to make people laugh. Then you continue asking, but why do I want to make people laugh? And then the answer could be, because I want them to forget their worries for a moment and just feel happy. This is just an example, but the point is that the purpose would be the level of goal that can exist on its own. It drives you and doesn't need further reasoning or to be justified by a higher goal. This means that you could come up with a mini purpose that says, for the next 10 years, I want to work my ass off and live frugally to achieve financial independence. And that may not be your life purpose, but achieving financial independence is an end goal that can stand on its own. And it also drives you, and it is meaningful enough for you to pursue over the next years. Take the pressure off of you and start defining your mini purpose or mini purposes, which is the next purpose in sight. If you try to figure out your mini purpose, you will learn a lot about what is relatively more or less important to you, and you will stay alert to what's meaningful to you. Now, what about my life purpose then? I am not at all cynical about this. I do believe that people can have a life purpose, but you cannot choose when to discover it. You cannot just make it appear. The only way you can find your life purpose, if that matters to you, is to sensitize yourself towards the smaller purposes in life. You can't find that big purpose in life if you're not even aware of the smaller purposes you already have. A purpose is simply a reason for which you do a bunch of other things, and there can be several mini purposes in life. Your mini purpose could be, for example, to spend the next 3 years uncovering some truth about something you deeply care about and inform the public about it. And you do it by starting a YouTube channel or a blog. Your mini purpose could be as simple as earning more money in the next 2 years to help a family member with their medical expenses. Doesn't sound like the typical purpose, but yes, this is a purpose that needs attention and dedication, and that is definitely meaningful. Your mini purpose could be to become the best accountant you can be within the next 5 years, simply because you want to stretch yourself and see how good you can get. All these small purposes might seem not as significant, but this is what will happen to you if you continue to find these. Over time, as you act intentionally and with a clear purpose, you get more in touch with yourself, with what you desire, what is meaningful to you, and what is not. And over time, you will get clearer about a possibly larger purpose for life. And even if that doesn't happen, at least you will get closer to it and have a more meaningful career in life. If you want to understand more about purpose and how to find meaningful work, then this video here might be useful for you. Thank you so much for watching this far into the video. You guys are the best. Take care.